Hi, my name is Wendy Mask and I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I have a story for you. They say God is a loving God, a forgiving God, but it took me years to discover that fact. I'll be honest, I had an abortion. No, make that 3. When I was younger, I made relationship choices that ultimately weren't God's will, but my will at the time. I had an abortion because I chose the wrong guy. I had an abortion because I didn't know that the blob, as the abortion clinic described to me, was a life, although a tiny one, but a life. During the first abortion, I was told I was doing nothing wrong. I was also told it would be painless and was provided with free contraceptives. Prior to the actual abortion, I received counseling. I felt I was being helped and they cared about me. I showed up on a Saturday morning with my best friend. The protesters at the door frightened me as they held signs and prayed. I was not doing anything wrong, I thought. I sat there for 2 hours with 10 to 15 other women. Looking back, it seemed like a Nazi death camp as I awaited the gas chambers. They said it was just as quick as a pap test and told me to look at the ceiling. Before I counted to 10, I'd be asleep. Although I felt dirty for what I did and ashamed, I was very relieved I did not have to worry about a 3rd child. I had an abortion. Things have a way of repeating themselves, and I wound up in the same situation a few years later, this time with another man. This man told me he'd been through the same process with a college girlfriend. The second time at the clinic didn't shock me like the first time. He took me there. We went to breakfast afterwards. We went home. He told me he had to go. He was gone. I felt unloved. How could my boyfriend just leave me alone? I had an abortion. I gave my relationship another try. We had a child and got married. But infidelity is one of Satan's weapons, and God had not yet entered my personal battlefield. Then came the 3rd abortion, a year and a half after being married. They say sometimes God's helpers appear in unlikely places. Maybe my help came in the form of a nurse in the recovery room who hounded me after my procedure. She told someone else I had been there 3 times and used abortion as birth control. I was humiliated. I had hit rock bottom. Satan had me and there was not a darn thing I could do about it. The light of God often shines in the darkest times, and He's shown it on me when I needed it the most. I repented, confessed to a priest in 2006, rebuilt my life, and found 40 days for life. The light didn't come on like a flashlight pointing an obvious path. It came on in a slow, steady flicker, like a lit candle threatening to blow out, but one that gets stronger over time. I was called to speak to you today after hearing others share their stories. I will continue to speak out against the injustice known as abortion, and I will continue to share my story. Jeremiah 29, 3-11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Remember, God has a purpose for your life. If it does not make sense, just keep the faith and trust that God will work it out. Abortion is not the answer. As I tell you my story, I have begun to understand God forgave me for my sins, no matter how grave, and will continue to forgive me during my time on earth. He will forgive all of us no matter what, for He is a God of love and mercy.